T-Rod.
We are here. Chef Marc.
Hey,
what's going on, my man?
What a pleasure. What a lovely day, first off.
Man, yeah.
Here in Central Oregon, it woke up, it was a bit brisk.
Yeah.
Bit cool. But as the sun rose from the east, it warmed up. Standing in the sun rays on my back patio this morning, having coffee, and it was just a lovely day. What about for you?
Same, man. Spend most of the day outside, just working over at a job site. So that's what we were doing. So yeah, it's gorgeous, and there's a great neighborhood over there that we're working in too. So
that's so
cool. It's funny to see wild turkeys out in the middle of like Ferry Street Bridge area of Eugene. So it's it's definitely different, man.
Yeah,
like a lot of them too.
That's so cool because it's like, that's the thing about Oregon is that you do have the wildlife. You do have like the nature that comes, nature not only from the animal sense, but also the human sense. Like the wildlife of nature.
Especially here in Eugene, there is some human wildlife, definitely.
There is, absolutely. And you and I are included in that on occasion.
That's right. That's right.
For those just joining us, this is the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. That is T-Rod. I'm Chef Marc. And we're fans of the Oregon football program. We host a tailgate at the Masonic Lodge, and it's called the Big Oregon Tailgate. Last year, we started this podcast, and it's grown into what it is today. Yeah, and we're just so happy to be here tonight. Before we get too far along, T-Rod, I'm going to pass it over to you, and just let us know about our sponsor.
Got a size pizza. I actually have the address memorized, 1211 Alder Street, right?
Awesome.
SizeNewYorkPizza.com. Give them a jingle. My hiccup still is 541-686-9598. I had to look down 1.5 times there. So that's also getting better. But yeah, Josh and the people down there at Size, go down and see them. There is the construction going on down there. So, order early online or call ahead of time. Pull right up there. If there's a spot right in the middle of Alder Street, which is weird, parking right in the middle of Alder, pull right there, or pull right off to the street like you're going to go back to Rainey's and park right by the dumpster, jump in, jump out, go get your thing, and then get out.
Well, don't jump in the dumpster, but jump into the Size, grab your
That's right.
Or your whole pie, and get back to your party, your house, wherever you're going, and have a good time. And
here at Oregon Football Tailgate Talk, we do not promote not paying for parking. That's not what we're saying, right? Just
having been a student on campus at the University of Oregon, meter maids were my nemesis, and so I feel all those students that fight the
lesson learned, right?
Yeah, meter maid and. Yeah. So, here we are. It is 3 weeks from the Oregon Spring Game. Literally, it's like coming up fast. When we started doing this Oregon Football Tailgate Talk during the off season, it was a couple months ago. But man, time has really flown. It's like April. It's April 3rd, and it's coming up. Like within 3 weeks, we're going to be here at the Big Oregon Tailgate live for the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk at 10 a.m. in the morning. Let's talk about that tailgate, man. It's like one of those things that's near and dear to us because it was our original tailgate, right?
Well, yeah, and and that's just we both had an idea of what we thought a tailgate should be, and so we did that separately for how many years, right?
For a couple.
And then we put our minds together, our wee little minds together, and said, "Hey, I think we can do this." And it just kind of took on a mind of its own, man. I mean, on average, on a good weekend, right? 100 people are going to roll through.
Absolutely.
And I love it. It's and the vibe is fantastic, and so I'm excited to kind of have that filler, for the spring game, and it is going to be what it's going to be, but we're going to have a wonderful day just putting it together. It's going to be a busy weekend throughout Eugene. We got the marathon going on.
Absolutely.
Softball, baseball games going on. I mean, it's going to be a wonderful weekend in Eugene for the community, for the athletic program, for fans of Oregon football and all sports Oregon related. So it's I'm already getting excited for the build up to that spring game.
Oh, absolutely. And for those joining us, like the photo stream up here on my TV behind me, it's photos from the tailgate, from hanging out in the crowd. Like you said, on any given weekend, it's 100 plus, and we have a good time. And I put out the food, and we just have a blast. It's really just building that community of people that like-minded in loving the Ducks and supporting the Ducks. Whether it's the spring game or throughout this regular season. This last year, we got to do the postseason in the CFP playoff for the first time there at Autzen Stadium against James Madison. So it's just a blast. And then we took the show on the road, and so just hanging out, building that friendship, building that community. It's just been a really good time. And so Saturday, April 25th is the Oregon Spring Game. I was like putting together the kind of like the day of the 25th. We're going to set up on the 24th, like the night before, do that, go to the baseball game, come back, wake up in the morning, get things going. I'm going to have breakfast served. So we're going to do a chili relleno breakfast burrito bar. So essentially chili relleno, build your own burrito with bacon, with sausage, with the cheese, sour cream, salsa, the whole bit. And then we're also going to do the big Oregon Football Tailgate Talk live starting at 10 a.m. So if you want to be a guest, you want to join T-Rod and I, just talk about what you're looking forward to for the spring game. Are there any players? Are there any aspects of the game that you're going to be looking forward to as the 2026 football season begins with the spring game? It's really kind of the first time that we get to see the team come out on the field as one unit, and then they compete against each other. And Oregon does a really good job of actually having a game, whereas it's sure it's an exhibition, but they actually play the four quarters. They have downs, etc. And other schools may just do exhibition where they're just showing some highlights and whatnot. So
well, I've thought throughout the years that Coach Lanning and the staff do a great job of really splitting those teams kind of pretty evenly.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes for a fun atmosphere to watch a game, take place. But for me, obviously, hey, it's going to be checking out the new seats, what those look like, right? You want to do that. But at the same time, it's, now it just is really, let's take a look at the players that have had 1 year, or one season now under their belt, potentially 2 seasons of strength and conditioning under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
What do they look like? Physically, what do they look like? How are they handling themselves through the day? And then what do those, what do the freshmen and the newcomers coming in, what do they look like as far as just how do they carry themselves? The expectations for ball play, are what they are. Maybe we see some of the guys, the Mateos, Bear Alexanders, and those guys, some of the returning starters for a little bit, but I would anticipate not a whole lot. So excited just to get back in the stadium as well. Just walk through the gates, make the walk from the tailgater into the stadium, and just do that and have that day. So, just very excited about that. And I expect the Ducks to dominate this
one. Right. Well, and I think that, not only from a season ticket holders perspective, like walking through that gate, and we do it quite often throughout the fall, but like, it's a great opportunity for families to really kind of show up. It's a free event.
Absolutely right.
And when I say free, what Oregon has done throughout the years is it's a food drive for Food for Lane County. So bring a non-perishable food item. They have boxes as you walk in the gate. You toss your non-perishable food item into the box, walk through the gate, enjoy the day, no charge, just experience it. And then the post game, like being able to go down onto the field, meet the players, get some autographs for the young kids, get photos with the players for your kids, etc. What a great family event. Oregon does a really good job with that. And every year it seems like it's like in that 35 to 45,000, like 40,000 fans show up to go to this spring game, and I think
And
that's unique
I
in
feel
college
like
ball.
that this one may even be bigger.
It may be
You
even
know,
bigger.
it may be, you know, it might start to rival that probably that Chip Kelly one coming out of the 2010 national championship season. That year, you know, that spring game going in with all that anticipation. You know, yeah. So I don't know. I think, and they also do a wonderful job of honoring the military, and I love that aspect of it, and the jersey swap, and in case people don't know, if you're a season ticket holder, you also are given an opportunity to get a ticket for a veteran,
Yeah.
right, and be able to do that as well. And so I don't know. I just feel like that particular day they do a great job of just really focusing on the things that are really important outside of football. Feed the hungry, honor the military. There's not really too many more things except for Ronald McDonald House, which will be taken care of on early Friday out there
Yep.
doing that, and then back over on Sunday, and so yeah, it's for the marathon, and so yeah, it's just those things.
Yeah, it's a jam-packed weekend, and it's
Yeah,
not only like you said, you volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House for the Eugene Marathon, but
yeah,
also, the spring game football game, and then the Oregon baseball, Oregon softball, all have home games. So there's a lot going on, not only on campus but throughout the community of Eugene. So it's a really kind of just like a community weekend there in Eugene. So if you're traveling from out of area or never been to Eugene for the spring game, come prepared. There's going to be a little bit more traffic just because there's a lot of people in town for a variety of different things, but come prepared and have a good time. Like you
yeah,
can experience it in a variety of different ways. Come to the tailgate, get yourself breakfast burrito, go to this Oregon spring game, maybe head over to the softball game, watch Oregon play Ohio State, or you go to the baseball game where Oregon's going to play Penn State that weekend.
yeah.
And then maybe stay for the weekend, root some people on for the Eugene Marathon, etc. There, like I
Yep.
said, it's endless opportunities for you
And
to be
a
involved.
little tidbit to that is, if you choose to park over the Masonic, don't wait for the main lot. You
Yep.
don't have to wait for the main lot to open. You can
Yeah.
come in the Masonic at just about any point in time, get yourself set up, and just start enjoying the day early.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Speaking of Masonic, you sent me some photos. Or a friend sent me some photos last weekend. Sounds like they regraded the parking lot. I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
you've been by there this week or not. You headed probably in a different direction, but nonetheless, I'm curious to see what that looks like. I
It's
know that last year they
it's
had.
flattened off, right?
Yeah,
So as it started to dip towards 105,
right.
there was always that little hill there, because they've kind of flattened that off and graded that down more flat. So the spaces that are over there for parking are going to be a little bit flatter as well. And so yeah, you'll I think that they brought some, I think, more heavy equipment in to do it. Maybe hired somebody to come and do it, and maybe get it done a little bit better this
Yeah.
time around.
Well,
So
and when we think about last year and the weather that came through, there was that period in time in which there was a lake,
oh yeah,
a little
yeah,
like a
yeah,
lake in which they were bringing in pumps to pump out the water because it was consuming parking spots where it's a foot and a half deep in
yeah.
some areas, and so maybe they were addressing that. I don't know the
It was
details,
more
but
of a duck pond, but yeah.
yeah, exactly. Ducks on the water. Well,
That's it.
speaking of tailgates, this next segment is just the tailgate tips with T-Rod.
Yeah.
T-Rod, what do you got for us tonight?
Okay, so first thing we talked about a couple of podcasts ago was your power source,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was kind of the first thing we introduced. Mine's a Jackery. It doesn't have to be that brand, not a sponsor, but a power source that you could have, that you could plug your TV in, have some music if you want to plug that in. If you don't, but that is something that you want to have. And then the next thing that we talked about was your pop-up
Yep.
and the quality of the pop-up that you want. Keeping in mind that thicker cloth that you're going to get is going to be the difference between water resistant and waterproof, right? So we've got you covered for power, and then we've covered you and we've walled you in. The next thing to do is set up your tables and start setting up your barbecue. Well, you know what? Chef Marc does a great job, right? We have the grill,
Yep.
right? And then we have a couple of different ones if we want to, right? And then
Right.
we because of our power source, we'll do crock pots or we'll do whatever. But if you don't want to go all out for that, you can still go for 25 to maybe $40 ish. Get yourself a little hibachi grill, the little one with the legs that fold up. You just put your little propane tank and screw it in there, and you are set. Those things do so much that you don't. I mean, I've cooked on them, and I've also cooked with pots using my hibachi grill, right? And so you don't have to have, the huge, smoke pits and smokers. If you want to bring those, bring those. Great. If you got the room to do that, great. It's fabulous. But if you just want to do something right there for yourself and have enough, room to cook, 8 burgers or 12 dogs, those little hibachi grills with the fold up legs are absolutely wonderful. And, for about $50, you can get one of those and a couple of propane tanks that are going to last a day. Exactly. Right. So that is the tailgate tip for today is the grill, the hibachi grill, the small round grill, the Oregon grill, but that's going to cost you 120, 125, something like that. So again, going back, right? So that's your tailgate tip of the day, your cooking source, and the multiple ways to use that for very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. So what we've given you to this point, Marc, is we are about 500, $530 to get your power source, get you dried in, and now we're cooking, right? And those are items that will last an entire season. So when you start to break things down for your tailgate party, breaking them down per game and cost per game, right? There are certain costs that are just going to be repetitive: food, liquor, soda, whatever it is that you're doing. But there's some of those, shall we say, commodities, right, that you're always going to have, and they should be, if treated right, kind of maybe a one-time investment per season or for a couple of seasons. Exactly. I mean, those power sources are going to last forever. Mine's still, same batteries here. Up to 100%. Yep. So there's the tailgate tip of the day. We got you covered, and we'll definitely be adding on to that as we get closer to the fall.
I love that tip because in the way that you've structured it over the last couple episodes, and for those of you who don't know, like each episode is in our playlist on our channel. So go ahead and take a look at it. This is season 2 of the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. So you can find it under season 2. This is the off season. Season 1 goes back and goes over each game throughout the year. But what you just broke down over the last 3 episodes is great because it's really kind of just like that entry level, the basic, like this is what it's going to cost. This is what you're going to need as far as like just a tailgate. And you're right. Like the cooking source is so huge for myself. What I invested in was like the Blackstone, and it's just a small 22-inch, but hooked up to a propane. And it's amazing what I can spit out on that and use different varieties. Whether you're using the small hibachi style like grill and it's like $40 to $50, or you spending maybe $150, $200 on the Blackstone. Yep. Either way, like you have, it's versatile. Make sure you're just like using it to its fullest. Don't be like just like dogs every single game. That's right. My suggestion, but maybe you like dogs every game. There's nothing wrong with a glizzy here and there, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, nonetheless, I love the tips. I can't wait for the next one. Oh yeah, and you're building something here, man. Like we're going.
We're gonna get you all set up by fall time. So yeah,
exactly. Right on. Well, let's get into spring football. Oregon's back in the practice facility, practicing this week. After taking 2 weeks off for spring finals and spring break, they're back, and they're back in pads this week. And as Coach Lanning said earlier in the week, pads were popping. And that's what I love to hear because that's football, right? When football is played, you hear the pads popping, there's hits being made, and it's just what Dan believes in. You can only get better football by playing football. And part of playing football is not to be in the shells, not to be in the spiders, but actually be in the pads and making contact with each other. Any thoughts, opinions on that?
Yeah, my thought goes to over the course of time, right? So, Dan comes on board. He basically has to live and die by the portal for the first couple of seasons, which he did a great job of, right?
Absolutely.
Comes in, you say anything you can say, anything you want about what Mario left here. When we look at what has come in since Dan took over, what Mario left is night and day, right? And so he had to scramble. And so again, with the anticipation of what's going on in this season, the recruits that are coming in, the guys that are returning, I truly think, again, for the program and the history of the program, you possibly have the most competitive practice squads that this program has ever seen.
Absolutely.
And all the way from the newcomers and the freshmen coming in who are so talented to, again, the guys that said, you know what, we have unfinished business. We're going to come back and we're going to continue to get better, but at the same time, help this team, the younger kids, grow and get better. So, I look forward to hearing about the competitive lineups, the competition and at the depth level of each position that are so important, because it's just not what you would call, quote unquote, the skill positions. It's every position on this roster right now has some sort of competition capabilities within it. And I think that's what I'm excited to see, because it's only going to make the new people fresher and keep them and get them better. But it's also going to keep the OGs on their toes, making sure that they come correct, come fall camp and ready to go. So they, solidify their spots. Nothing's given. Everything is gained here.
Right.
Everything is worked for here.
Yep.
And so if you're good enough, you're old enough. So if you're old enough, you better still be good enough.
Exactly.
There you go.
I think when I was thinking about this episode and I was thinking about getting back to practice and hearing Dan speak and hearing some other coaches speak this week, and hearing the players speak, it's like, man, I'm getting a little bit excited, because last episode I talked about this is Dan's really fifth spring, right? So it's his fifth season. These are the guys that he's brought in from like his first year here all the way through, and they're maturing and developing under his tutelage and Coach Love's strength and conditioning program. And now it's kind of all coming together. And this season, really, like when you think about each position group and you think about the depth in which Oregon has throughout the roster, you're kind of like, we're on to something here.
Well, that's just it, right? Yeah. You have, you're going to have the fans who, Dan exceeded expectations that first season.
Yeah.
Right. So then the next season, but if you really looked at it from a truth, how do I say this? If you really looked at it from just a fan perspective that has been around the program for a long time, you knew coming in that if Dan continued, to show growth and follow in the footsteps of a Kirby Smart or a Nick Saban, and bring that vibe here, that you pointed at year 4 and 5,
right?
You didn't point at year 2, year 3. You knew that if he was, and you saw the recruiting capabilities early.
Yeah. Just
in the portal alone to bring in the talent to make them as competitive as they were his first season, that started to show up, because if I'm not mistaken, he still ended up with a top 12 or top 15 class that first season, regardless of portal or recruits. Right. And each one, has gotten better since then. And now he just kind of lives in the top 5.
Right.
Right. So if you pointed at anything before, year 4 and 5, then, you were just wishful thinking or hopeful.
Right. Yeah.
But now we're into where the pieces are in play, and I believe that the expectations are warranted, and then the question becomes, then what makes a good season or a great season for you? And is it the natty or bust? Well, for us, it's never the natty or bust. We could bust and we're still going. But is that expectation is what it is, and is it fair? And I believe it is.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. And 5 years in, I heard somebody report earlier the week that this is the first time Oregon's had a 5th-year coach since 1999. So Chip's era was shorter than that, as far as the number of springs, etc. So it's kind of cool to hear that. And Dan following, his vision of the program as he continues to build upon that from year in, year out. And then you look at the practice facility that's being built next to the HDC and seeing what's being built there and how that's just built upon what we already have, what we're going into 2026 season. So let's talk about position groups a little bit. And this segment is called Ducks to Watch. And we're bringing it back, Ducks to Watch. We haven't done that since January.
Yeah.
So rather than doing specific players on offense, 2 players on offense and 2 players on defense, we're going to just pick one position group on offense and one position group on defense that we're looking forward to seeing in the spring game. This coming April 25th, so 3 weeks from tomorrow. And the reason I picked like a position group rather than like players themselves, the next episode we'll get a little bit more detailed, and then the live episode we'll pick 2 players on offense and 2 players on defense, and we'll get in there and kind of look at it. So let's look at it from the broad picture.
What's up, Matt?
Maybe specifically just like what you look forward to seeing within that group. Not saying one specific player, but like holistically how that looks. Matt, secondary. So he already took secondary. Matt, put in the chat why you want to watch the secondary.
Yeah. So are we going defense or offense first?
Your choice. T-Rod's choice. So you can go offense or defense. You go first.
I'll go
I'll
offense,
go second,
and then you can go defense, and then we'll flip flop it.
There we go. Okay.
So offensively, we could always look at the O-line, but I'm not looking at the O-line. The O-line is going to determine the group that I'm looking at, though, and the success of the group I'm looking at, and that's the running back room. I saw a tweet from, I don't know, it was Coach Samp or no, might have been. I don't know who it was from, but just talking about how the 2 young guns relied on pure talent last year, which is crazy to me, but it makes sense that they came in and were ready to go and so effective at what they did that to be able for the game to slow down a little bit now, still have that effectiveness. And again, that second season in the strength and conditioning program, Coach Love, that transition period from the first season to the second season, it's visually something that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch these young boys, they're starting to grow as they start to get into their young man bodies, if you will.
Right.
It's like Coach Love grabs them and says, we're ready to go. You got this structure, you have the foundation. Now let's just build on that. And so I'm so excited to see Dier and Jordan and what that's going to look like in the fall. The spring, it is just going to be what it is. But what I expect to see is the continued explosiveness. They both have patience already. So what is that going to look like? Is it going to be like LaMichael James patience.
Yeah.
Where he would just sit back and just could wait.
Yeah.
And then bang, through the hole, there you go.
Right.
So I'm excited to see that group. So that is the group that I'm going to talk about right now, is the running back group, because they are young, but they're going to come in with experience now.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to see them, because the effectiveness of running the ball is just, it's going to open up everything for the talent on this team.
Right. Right. Well, and I think that, you make a really good point with picking the running back room, the young maturity of that room with Jordan Davison and De'Aaron Hill, 2 freshmen that saw a lot of carries last year, and saw some good experience. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, they did get a little bit dinged up, but nonetheless, to see them mature in this offseason program, come into the spring as second-year guys, see how they kind of lead that room without Noah in that room, and using that experience to kind of set the bar, set the expectation. So I love that. That wasn't my offensive pick, so I love that as well. They were my alternate offensive pick, but I'm going to go to the defensive side, because you're going to let me pick first on defense, as you pick first on offense. I'm going to go with the linebacker group, and specifically the interior linebacker group, because when you look at Oregon, they classify the outside linebackers as almost like the edge guys, whether that's Mateo or Tatum. Those are guys they classify as outside linebackers. But interior wise, they've lost some experience there with Bryce Betcher going to the NFL draft, and he's been kind of that stalwart in the position in the interior linebacker room. And so this next year, to see that maturity within that room, whether it's Jerry Mixon or is it Gavin Nix or Devin Jackson, Braden Platt, those guys come in having been in the program multiple years now, and see how they perform, and not only that, but how they align the defense and understand that. So there's some, if there was a position group that I'm looking at distinctly coming into the spring, is seeing how those linebackers not only play but also set the defense, and how they check and move the defense throughout the play. So
yeah, and I like Matt's comment here with the big year, right? So yeah, DJ, I guess if you would want to call it a down season last season,
yeah,
he was in, he had some plays. I think he
injuries too. So
I think maybe he's the injury bug was part of the problem. He couldn't quite get in that flow from the beginning of the season. I like Matt's comment. I think that that there is a big season awaiting D-Jack around the corner, and if that's the case between him and Mixon, because now Mixon's he's kind of that OG now, right?
Yeah.
But you saw the growth with Mixon last season under and working with Betcher.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was the one thing going into last season that we had talked about a lot, was the leadership that decided to stay last season. And so each room had a guy, whether it was the running backs with Noah or Betcher, or the guys that stayed for the D line, and all of there was leadership at each part, right? And so I like that pick. I think that the linebacker, and I think that's going to be a question going into the season, is that linebacker room, and what are they going to look like?
Well, and when you think about how Oregon's defense runs that linebacker room, there's a lot of rotation within that room. So it's not only D-Jack and Mixon but Braden Platt, and then Dylan Williams, and then you got these young guys coming in. Gavin Nix, true freshman last year, he had some swap plays and whatnot throughout the season, but how does he fit into that rotation? And then Tristan Phillips, true freshman coming in. Dan's not afraid to play the true freshman.
Nope.
If you're good enough, you're old enough, right?
Exactly right.
And
exactly right. And I think that that's going to be something that we're going to hear a lot this season for some reason. There's just that vibe. I think there's that kind of talent coming in that, you know, it's going to speak for itself one way or the other, and we're going to find out, right? Yeah. Throw them in the pool, make them swim. We'll see.
Okay, let's go to the defensive side of the ball for T-Rod. So what's your position group for the defensive side of the ball? We got to give a shout out to Matt for the secondary. Lots of young talent. Can't wait to see how much they've grown. So
with the secondary, it's going to be interesting. Because you get what you're getting on one side of that field. And for the first time in a long time, outside of, Gonzo being here for one season,
mm-hmm.
When was the last time Oregon has had, and we can go back. We can go back like Rashad Bowman 2001, 2002 type season of knowing that you have a lockdown corner over there. If we want to go way back, because I'm that old, we go Alex Molden, right? Hey. As having that island. Troy Hill obviously was over there.
Thurman.
But
yeah. What's up, Amy?
Good. They had to work over the course of seasons to become that. Finney was ready to go from day one.
Yeah.
And his growth to be able to lock down one side, who's going to be that other side? If he, so what is that going to look like? I think Matt's onto something, because we're also going to see that growth in that secondary. Flowers. It's again, you had Candidate back there.
Yep.
Right. But Flowers had an opportunity to have a huge impact and share kind of in that spotlight or whatever. I like Matt's pick for a lot of reasons, man. Exactly. Yeah. Trey
McNutt.
These guys all had an impact one way or the other. And so for me, I'm going to go with the D line.
There you go.
It's an obvious pick, but it's also an obvious pick that again comes with the expectations. And I'm putting the expectations on there.
Yeah.
Right. I usually don't. I don't care. We could be sitting there at 1-8. I'm in my seat.
Yeah.
Right. And doing my thing. So it feels weird for me personally to go, I expect, the one thing that stuck in my mind at the end of that national championship game last season was Indiana's offensive lineman. I don't even know who it was, in his post-game interview on the field, talking about that Miami D line being the most physical that they had played all season long, and having an impact, right? Where you have an impact on that offensive line that you're like, I was in a fight today.
Yeah.
Right. I want that for this D line this season, because of what they are returning and the people they are bring. I would expect nothing less than for every game for our opponent to walk out like, damn, those boys whooped my ass.
Yep.
So that I don't even care to try to get technical with it. I want some ass whooping from that D line. And if the aggression is going to be there, that we hope is going to be there with the coaching change.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad one way or the other. I like Tosh. I had no problem with it. So I need to see the utilization of the guys that came back and why they came back. Use that and destroy some people. So let's get after that.
I love D-line. That. Strike some fear in some guys, and like Matt said, get to the quarterback. Let's get to the quarterback. There's one thing to measure the quarterback pressures and whatnot, but the one stat that I love to see, and maybe it doesn't really reflect holistically of what the defense is doing, but the sack, get to the quarterback, strike some fear in them, just dominate.
Fear.
Yeah, fear.
And that works if the secondary is as stingy as they very well could be.
Yeah.
Right. And the linebackers having that impact for the guys just to cut loose. They've come back for a reason. There shouldn't be any slowdown for anything. The game should slow down even more so. And attack mode should be like at the constant ready. Whatever that is, PlayStation, hit that X button or Y button or whatever the hell it is, but just get after it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Right on. I love that position group. That was my alternate for defense, was the defensive line. I'm going to talk about a position group that you passed on, which was the offensive line. I'm looking forward to seeing how the offensive line kind of gels together. We're replacing 3 starters: the right tackle, the left guard. Worrell, Pregnon, and Harkey are all gone, headed to the NFL draft. And so how does that fit in? Now, last year we had some guys step up due to injury. With at left tackle, you got Fox Crater coming in, and he played some really solid snaps there at the end of the season when Worrell went down, and also throughout the season played some solid snaps in that position. Is he our new left tackle? That's one of the questions that needs to be answered. On the right side of the line, who steps in as the right tackle? Is it Kavika Rogers? He played a little bit of tackle. Is it one of the other guys, Ferguson, or is it Addison, or who is it who steps in at the right tackle position? We're not going to see Nacho in the spring because it just was announced this week that he's not coming in until June, which is completely all right. It was mentioned on another podcast that I was listening to earlier today. He's like, hey, Penei Sewell didn't come in until June either, but he started his freshman year. So does Nacho take that right tackle position? And then left guard, really, is that another question mark? Is like who's in there at left guard? So to see how that unit gels, and knowing how Elite Terry likes to develop those guys and get the rotation and have them practice at multiple different positions, you kind of know that your center is going to be Poncho, right? Your right guard more than likely is Dave Iuli. And so how does this all fit together as far as the team? And maybe they flip Iuli to left guard. Who knows? Like, they'll probably practice them all at different positions, which Elite Terry alludes to, the players allude to. And so there's depth in that room. There's a lot of young guys in that room. There's a lot of veterans in that room. And it was nice to see Poncho come back. I think there is some development there for him. As he progresses through the season, he did get kind of dinged up towards the latter part of the regular season last year with some ankle issues. And then, like, who's our backup center? Like, who's in that position? Who fills that role? So to be able to see that in the spring game, because you're going to have 2 centers, right? You're going to be able to see the 2 centers play and kind of just see how that kind of molds and shapes together as the year goes on. I'm gonna throw
we always point to the O-line because it just seems like, for the last season before that, pretty solid, right? But the O-line's always, talked about, and the continuity that's gonna, what is that gonna look like for the players that are here now?
Yeah.
But if the expectations are what they are for this season, then I'll say that single-handedly the O-line this season is probably the most important position group ever, especially for the O-line. We always seem to have, whether it's Coach Terry or let's go clear back to Coach, Greatwood, right, where, each season seemed to answer itself. But, with the returners at running back, obviously with our starting quarterback, the talent that you have at wide receiver, tight end. I mean, we know what we have in those pieces. So ultra important for that offensive line this season, because their success, I think, is going to dictate how the season goes. Everybody else can play great, but if that O-line is just mediocre at best, it could not, it may not end up being the way we hope.
Well, and like you said, it starts up front. They line up, spot the ball, snap the ball. It starts at the offensive line, starts at the defensive line. Like that is where the game starts, and then it develops from there. So, Alec Terry did mention that he does feel like this is the most experienced, the deepest room that he's ever had at Oregon. So it's exciting to hear that. But let's see it on the field. Let's see how they perform on the field. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna throw a slight curveball. One other thing to like pay attention to this spring that I'm looking forward to is the special team side of the ball. We lose Atticus Sappington as our kicker, and we also lose James Ferguson Reynolds, our punter. So and our long snapper.
And the long snapper.
And long snapper.
Our long snapper was at the combine, right? So, yeah.
So, nonetheless, those are key pieces to the success of the team. And so let's pay attention. Don't forget the special teams group. We never like to kick. We never like to punt. But the reality is we do kick and punt.
I am a former soccer player, so, it's I love to kick. So
it was great. Hey, I have to say it was great to do that segment again. Ducks to Watch is one of my favorites that we do throughout the fall on the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. We do a live show the Friday night before every home game from the Masonic Lot from our tailgate, the Big Oregon Tailgate. And that's one of the segments that we do. We pick two offensive players and two defensive players that we want to watch throughout that next day, throughout the game that we watch, whatever that may be. It's changed the way that I watch games. Those players. Whether it's Jerry Mixon.
If I was a betting guy or a DraftKings guy, I think that's kind of what it would look like, right? It's who are you watching? How are you watching them? But without the stress of money behind it, except for obviously, your tickets and whatever else. But I love that. I love the fact because, we want to be right. We want to pick. We want our Ducks to watch to actually have like that impactful game, right? So,
hey, not to be, not to brag or anything like that, or not to be selfish, but hey, Malik Benson, Jerry Mixon, like Deer Hill, like we had some guys that popped, that we picked the night before, and
that's popped, right, and we claimed those predictions for ourselves. Nobody else knew it.
Those guys are always. They're part of this this journey that we're on, which we call the Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. Hey, talking about our picks, man. Hey, the NCAA Tournament. Let's check in on our bracket, man. Let's check in on it. So right now, both T-Rod and I picked Michigan.
Yeah.
We didn't collaborate that. We picked our own brackets. No. It goes up into our group that we have our picks. We both picked Michigan. So if Michigan wins out, and I went to the lab, I checked and verified with the auditor, and that might be Matt, but like he was like, "Hey, I got this figured out." So I double checked with him today. He says Michigan wins. T-Rod, you're the champ.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Matt, he texted that to me the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure you knew." And I was like, "Nah, after a couple of them, but then I looked again. I was like, yeah. You know what? It's like I told Matt. I started at the bottom. Now I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
It just had to take a basketball season to do it, not a football season. So
exactly. And I have to give a shout out to Jose. Jose picked UConn. Watching last weekend, I'm not a fan of Dan Hurley. To watch that go down. It was an incredible finish. As a sports fan, I celebrated. What an incredible finish to a game. UConn beating Duke on the last-second three-pointer. Down by 2, steals the ball.
Oh, man.
Boom. It's his game-winning shot. Awesome. Way to go. If UConn wins, Jose wins the bracket. Now, if Arizona wins, Matt wins. Right? So,
yeah.
What's kind of cool about the bracket this year is normally at this point in the bracket, like our group of people that are in the bracket challenge, Oregon Spaces bracket challenge, normally there's like 1 or 2 guys that are left doing it, right? this year there's like a handful of people that can win. We have 2 people picking Arizona. We have multiple people picking Michigan. We have Jose is the only one that picked UConn. No one picked Illinois. Hey, Big Ten. Illinois can do it.
Big Ten showed out well.
Yeah.
This season, and it's unfortunate that we couldn't be part of it. But at the same time, it's all I want to hear is down go the Wildcats. Down go the Wildcats. Right?
Yeah, their coach was
go the Wildcats.
The coach was really focused on getting a contract this week, so that he wasn't game planning. He was more focused on how his bank account would look, and signing a new contract today, or basically agreeing to a contract today. And he has to play ball tomorrow. So my thing is no distractions. Let's talk contract after the season. Let's focus on what we have in front of us. Not Tommy Lloyd, but hey, all the best in that for Tommy Lloyd. So, all right. Hey, it's always fun. We have skin in the game this weekend. Go Michigan.
Yeah.
Hope you win, T-Rod.
Yeah. And actually, I feel like that game is.
It is.
I think the bracket should be switched, and then those two should meet in the final. But that's I think they're the best 2 teams left.
Well,
and honestly, it would be great to see 2 Big Ten teams in the final.
Yeah.
From that perspective, but I understand that
Michigan, Illinois. Let's go.
There is a few of us in our group that are loyal to our conference, and then there's some that aren't. Some are Big 12 fans that just portray as Big Ten homers, which they're not, and that's okay too, Matt. But that's just.
Hey, he's our DEI fan. Inclusion. Speaking of, let's go to the Diamond.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Diamond Sports. Oregon Diamond Sports today were active. Earlier today, the baseball team played at Michigan. Right now, live, Oregon softball is playing Iowa at the Jane. They're in Eugene. So we're going to start out on the softball side of things. I was watching the game before we popped on live tonight, and Oregon right now sits at 26-9, 5th in the Big Ten, 18th nationally for the softball team. First inning, it was a 7-pitch inning for why am I blanking on her? Our starting pitcher, Grind.
Oh yeah.
And so she 7-8 pitch inning. It was really effective. First, our leadoff batter is Elon Butler. Second pitch of the game goes yard. Bang, home run. Next batter up comes up and gets a single. Next batter up is Amari Harper hits a 2-run dinger, and it was 3-0 Ducks when I went live on Oregon Football Tailgate Talk. So 3-0. I don't know what the score is right now. If anybody in the chat wants to post a score, go for it. You're not I'm still
without going to the lab. When it comes to the softball, I think you need to be in like that, just under that 1 kind of ERA, like that 0.9, 0.93, 0.95 ERA in softball to get yourself there, right? I think the Ducks are, sitting around 1.35. I don't know exactly, but
really effective. Yeah.
It's one of those that for both, baseball and softball, again, and I said this in one of our other podcasts, I just feel like that the parallels with those 2 programs right now, and the way that they have the ability to hit the long ball, yep. Right? But then we just see Oregon lay down a squeeze, right, but also have the ability to go yard.
Yeah.
It's really these 2, it's going to come down to the pitching for both of these teams, because I think offensively, they have the capability of lighting up the scoreboard. We've seen it already. Yep. It's for Oregon, it's I'm going to screw up her name, but my
I know who you're talking about. Our first baseman.
Yes,
she smashes the ball.
She does, but she was absent during the postseason. She just disappeared.
Yeah.
This team is going to need her to be effective throughout the whole season, as that threat to go along with the other long ball threats that we have. And, I think if she is able to do that, that's going to be the key. Because I felt like last season in the postseason, she was kind of that missing component that the offense needed to get to that next level, and go on to, challenge for that national championship.
Yeah, Stephanie Mayake. But Stephanie.
Here we go. Mayake. See? There you go.
Yeah, but the thing is about her, she was a true freshman last year. And so to get that experience, and like maybe you're swinging and missing, but changing your approach at the plate, baseball is one of those games that is developed over a period of time, and seeing those pitches and recognizing them and knowing the situation that you're in and what to do. And sometimes it isn't swinging for the fences. It's really just getting the ball in play, or maybe like it's just sack fly. Like you got to get it out to the outfield, score a run. But Oregon softball, Amy. I love that you're a season ticket holder for the Oregon softball team. And
Stephanie T-Rod, she is Stephanie now. Got you,
Stephanie. Yep. Switching to the other side of the diamond, side of the diamond being the men's baseball team.
Yeah.
So Oregon baseball right now is 24-7, fourth in the Big Ten, 15th nationally. They kind of had a rough week. They lost to Portland early in the week at home. They traveled out to Michigan yesterday, or probably on Wednesday, played the game yesterday. They got 10 run. In baseball, in college baseball, if one team is up by 10 runs in the seventh inning, the game's over. They got 10 run. That's unheard of. They didn't score any runs against Portland. They didn't score any runs against Michigan yesterday. They ended the streak at 22 innings, and they scored a run in the fifth inning today on a home run by Jack Brooks. Jack goes Jack. Jack Brooks hits a home run in the fifth inning, and the Ducks go on to win 5-2 over Michigan today. So they're back in the win column, back in the scorebook by scoring some runs today. Drew Smith also had a home run, and what a killer player Drew Smith is. He's going to be drafted for sure. Probably top three guy, top three round type guy. And it's nice to see Oregon baseball and their bats show up again. 12 hits today.
Well, that's one of those you want to see them get those games out of the way as regionals approach, and because again, it's one of those. Is it the moment?
Right.
What is it? Because we've seen them falter when there was maybe an expectation that they would go. And I like what Amy said here about Stephanie. It brings a completely different spark of and plays with joy. That's why I feel like when her bat went away last season, there was something that was missing in that lineup, not just from a power standpoint, but a threat standpoint. Because as soon as her bat went cold, she was no longer a threat or being portrayed, felt as that. And so I just feel like that she is a piece that is going to be very intricate to this program moving into the postseason. And I hope that she manages that part well, because I think she's the one that kind of just tips it over the top. So, and then when it comes to the baseball, just consistency is what needs to happen with these guys. I think the pitching's there, but then you go and get 10 run.
Yeah.
Right. And so consistency, but there is a lot of young players on this team.
There is.
And so we'll see how that plays out as the season goes on, and because they've won some big games,
Absolutely.
and it's not easy, even though the teams were so it's still not easy making that run down south with San Diego, UCSB, and Cal Irvine, I think it was, or somebody like that. But so we'll see. But it's nice watching these competitive teams during this season. It gives us something to watch, is that tie that binds with football and brings football a little bit closer each week.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, before we wrap things up, I have to give a shout out to Ducks of a Feather. If you're not familiar with Ducks of the Feather, and they're not a sponsor or anything like that, I just support them as a fan of Oregon football and Oregon athletics. Ducks of a Feather supports Oregon student athletes by selling merchandise, whether it's this new hoodie I got just the other day in the mail.
Oh, got yourself some new swag.
Deep in the Woods. Or Chef Marc got some pins up there on the apron that I'll show off.
Is that a stump?
It is a stump, dude.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an old growth stump too. Look at the spiral lines, baby.
Yeah, check that out. So Ducks of the Feather .com DOAF. And so it's just a great way to support Oregon athletics. You get a little bit of swag, you support the team, you support them and their endeavors as student athletes. I do have some pins as well here on my apron.
There we go.
Yeah. So I got to have some flair. Chef Marc's getting some flair this year on the apron. So shout out to Ducks of a Feather. Always quality gear. And not only that, but you're also supporting the students.
Well, you know what? And Chef Marc is the best dressed chef. Not just of the Masonic Lot, but probably throughout all of the lots. Right. So, yeah, shout out to Chef Marc and the swag master over here.
Yes. All right. So our next episode is actually not next Friday. It's the Friday after. So Friday, April 17th, we'll be back live right here on our YouTube channel, OFTT podcast. On YouTube.
Yes. And then that puts us 1 week out.
Dude, we're gonna be tailgate prep for sure, man.
I'm 1 week out right now from today, just because now we're just 1 week out. Period. We're just 1 week out.
Because as soon as this episode ends, the next one's 1 week out. We're gonna be pulling the tents out, making sure everything's dialed, organizing my garage, getting ready to throw everything in the back of my truck to head over to Eugene for the spring game. And I couldn't be more excited, man. This is a great time of year. And catch us on our next episode, Friday, April 17th, 6:30 live here on YouTube. And
thanks to everybody for listening. Send it out there, like and subscribe. It would be great to see if we get to the 100 subscribers by fall. Right? Yeah. That'd be fantastic to see. And then I'll put my shout out to Bussin' with the Boys to come to the tailgate, and I'll shoot my shot later.
There you go. There you go. As always, go Ducks.
Go Ducks.